This is a deciduous azalea. Deciduous means it drops its foliage in the wintertime. So it's just completely bare stems and all winter until spring comes around. And these plants are old. These are probably 20 or 25 years old. And you can see what's happening here is that the new growth, there are some new stems that want to start from the further down on the plant, which is an indication that the top is getting a little tired. So this needs to be renewed. It should be renewed. It doesn't have to be because it'll keep getting taller. But the younger growth will start to dominate and take up more of the plant as it goes. Now these have just finished flowering as well. You can see these were yellow flowers. Now they're brown. It's getting ready to set seed, and a lot of its strength is going into setting seed as opposed to putting on new growth at the top here. These younger ones didn't bloom, or didn't bloom as much, so you can see that they've put on a foot of new growth actually at this point, whereas these are only 3 or 4 inches. So what I'm going to do here is to bring this back so that it turns into a much younger looking plant, smaller, but within a couple of years it'll be nearly as tall as it is right now. And this is particularly important if it's in front of your house or someplace where it's beginning to be a block on some view that you want to maintain. So let me show you how I cut these back. In here you can see there are some side branches coming off of all of these. I could cut this whole thing down to the ground and this would come back just like this does. But at the same time, it wouldn't do any harm to cut it back a little bit less because these younger branches are going to be just as healthy. So I take the shears and go back to a junction near where one of the side branches is coming off. I always put a little pressure against the blade when I cut. It makes the cut so much easier. But by cutting this off and putting pressure on the cut, you can't even see that cut from the outside anymore. But what that is going to do is reinvigorate this whole side of the plant. And I'll do the same thing on the rest of these. Again, you can see the vine growing up here. You can see where the side branches are beginning to come out here. So I want to cut back to about where those are, just like that. And the next 2 branches are a little bit larger. So a couple of years ago, I bought a Christmas gift for my wife, of some of these power shears. These are hand shears, pruning shears, that run with a battery. This makes the pruning process so much easier. Of course, it can be dangerous too, because you don't want your fingers anywhere near this blade while it's still operational. But here's an example of where there are no, if you look from over here, you can see there are no little branches coming out on this one. So I'm going to cut this one right off at the base. And this branch will die back. Look how easy that is. This will die back, and around it the new branches will form. This, counting the rings on this, it looks to be 7 or 8 years old. So it's been a while since that started growing. And again, with this you can tell how old it is by counting the nodes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's probably 10 or 12 years old actually. But once I take this last one, or these last 2 off of here, we're going to have a plant that's totally rejuvenated and will be in good shape to get through the summer, and you're not going to miss any bloom next year because you've already seen it for this year. So there you are. That's all there is to it. Of course, now you have to haul the brush away. What I need to do, this is in my trial block, so I've got to make sure I maintain the identification labels on each one. So on this branch that I cut off, I wanted to make sure that I don't lose that label. I use these aluminum tags. There's several different kinds. This one actually has 2 on it. I can write on with a pencil. And I always, when I put a tag on a plant, I always try to do it in the same general area, which is, in my case, the north side of the plant. So I know where to look for it, because sometimes when the plant is mature or getting to be pretty big, it's hard to know exactly where to look for its name. But identifying the plant is the primary concern that I have, or that all of us have in this industry, because you want to know what it is. If you don't know what it is, you can't really tell people what to do about a problem or how to find one that's like it. We were talking about deadheading rhododendrons a while back. Azaleas will form seed pods as well, but it's not as much of a problem with them because it's a much different. They've done most of their growth by the time the seed pods are forming. The other kind of azalea, which I'm not going to discuss right now, is what we call the summer azalea. And you can see these are just now beginning to open their buds. This will be another week or 2 before these red buds turn into a profusion of flowers that'll cover this whole plant. We recommend pruning right after they finish blooming. That is, if you want to see the blooms. But for some people, it doesn't matter as much about the blooms. If it doesn't matter, you can cut these back anytime. And in fact, the earlier the better is the best for the plant. But on the deciduous azaleas and the summer azaleas, they've still got plenty of weeks to put on new growth. And if you cut off all the bigger branches that are sapping the strength out of the new growth that wants to come up, they also have an incentive to put on some new growth. So pruning these can be pruned right after they flower in early June. The summer azaleas can be pruned after they bloom in July or even August. And in a lot of cases, the buds that are on the plant have already set for the next year. So a lot of the buds have set before they even finish blooming.